Ooh, a Breaking Bad sequel starring Aaron Paul is in the works.
Well, they're doing movies. Is that a TV show?
Yeah, no, it's a feature-length movie.
Yeah, they've already announced that. They already announced that.
Ooh, I'm so
We're
excited.
15 seconds into the recording.
Oh, are we
I hit
recording?
Well,
record.
hey,
I went to go say it. And he was like, Aaron Paul.
who cares? Like select. I'm pumped.
There you
And this, what we're about to talk about, is the exact opposite of Breaking Bad.
go.
This makes Breaking Bad seem like a completely normal, just Wednesday. To be honest with
It
you.
makes the White family like the Brady's.
Oh
sort
yeah,
of.
we're going to talk about Abducted in Plain Sight. If you guys like this, maybe we'll do more movie reviews. But this was something after watching it that I had to talk to Jimmy about because Jimmy said that he had watched it as well.
And Nigel has seen it too.
Nigel has seen it too. It is the story about a young girl who had been abducted, but the series of circumstances that surrounded it, Jimmy, were, I thought, beyond stupid people worthy. But you said, let's do
Yeah.
it for so we'll release it later. I'm down
Yeah.
for that. Let's get into it.
Let's set the scene first with the facts, and then after that you can jump in. But let's set the scene. So
Oh, boy.
this is Idaho in the 1970s. So Idaho, so it's like a small, kind of middle class town in
Oh,
the
yeah.
1970s. There's a 40-year-old guy. His name was Bob Birchtold. That's his name, Bob Birchtold. He was married. He had children. There was another family called the Broberg family. And I didn't write everybody's name down because nobody cares about everybody's name, but there was like mom, dad, 3 girls, and the oldest daughter, her name was Jan. So Jan Broberg's the oldest daughter, family's name is Broberg. The two families got really close. So the Birchtold family and the Broberg family, they were church together, and they all got really, really close. Their kids all started hanging out together. They took day trips together. Bob Birchtold, they referred to him as B. That was
Yeah.
that's how they knew him. That's how they
Still
referred to him.
call him by an affectionate nickname years later.
Some of them did. Like some of them referred to him as Birchtold. They strictly used his last name, but every now and then you would hear B come up. But anyway, so Mr. Birchtold B clearly favored Jan, the oldest daughter. I think at the time that this all started, she was like 11, I think, at the time that they first met and everything like that. That's where it all began. Do you want to jump into some of the fucked up shit, or do you want me to start telling the facts and then you can jump in?
In an effort to get closer to Jan, who he was showing more affection to. Oh, God. No, present the facts, man. This is all over the map.
Okay, so first he told the Brobergs that he was seeing a therapist. And it came out later on that he had a background in, pedophilia and whatnot. He told the Brobergs that he was seeing a therapist, and the therapist recommended that he sleep in Jan's bed at her house under mom and dad's roof. 11-year-old Jan, 40-year-old Bob Birchtold. The
Something
parents,
like over 6 months. Like
yeah,
100
it was. He did it over. I think it was over a period of 6 months. Not every night, but he did it over a period of months.
3 or 4 times a week.
3 or 4 times a week. And the parents were cool with it, didn't suspect a problem. So he was doing that. That was number one. Then he offered to take Jan on a day trip. Hey, let's go horseback riding. Let's go on a day trip. Awesome. He didn't take her on a day trip. He kidnapped her and he took her to Mexico where he married her.
On a several-month trip is where he took her.
Yep. He had her in an SUV. He had speakers set up where he was pretending to be an alien talking to her. And you got to remember, she was 12 at that time.
Aliens are like the 6th weirdest thing about this story.
It is, yeah. But that's what he did. So he had her believing that there were aliens, that they had been captured, and the aliens were telling her that your mission is to marry B and have a child. Otherwise, the world is dead. Otherwise, you're going to kill the world. So you need to do this.
The plot of Men in Black 2, basically.
She had to do it
Almost.
before her 16th birthday, too, didn't she?
Yeah.
I think she did. She had to do it before her 16th birthday.
Black 3, I'm sorry.
Yep,
He
that's
also
right.
heavily drugged her throughout this, didn't he?
Yes, he was giving her, I forget what kind of pill. He was giving her pills. Yeah. So they get caught. They were living in an SUV in Mexico. They get caught. She's returned home. Now, what do they call it where you fall in love with your abductor?
Oh, Stockholm syndrome?
Stockholm syndrome. So she had Stockholm syndrome. So when she was picked up, all she did was talk about B, and how's he doing, and I got to see him, and all that kind of shit, because she's a 12-year-old girl. This is where it really started to get fucked up. The parents didn't want to press charges. And I'll throw this over to Sean. Why didn't the parents want to press charges after Buddy kidnapped their daughter, took her to Mexico, raped her repeatedly, drugged her, and married her?
Now,
At
I'm a
12.
little short on the names here, but I'll just say the girl's mother,
Yes, Mrs. Broberg.
had been having an affair behind her husband's back.
Yes.
Now, keep in mind, B was doing this likely to get closer to Jan.
He was also doing it because he thought, if I can fuck up their marriage, then they're going to be distracted. That was part of it. And he was also thinking, I want to create issues with them publicly so that if they threaten me, I can tarnish them publicly. Because they owned a business. They owned a business at the time.
Number of reasons why you would do that. And you would think, well, why doesn't the wife just admit to the husband, listen, our daughter's our priority. Why? I'm sorry I did this. It's terrible. Well, let me tell you why. Because the father was on a little day trip of his own with B, who is married himself, by the way.
Yes.
Next to a tree at the park.
They were in their car. They were in his car.
Looks over to the passenger seat, sees old homeboy riding shotgun, and says, listen, man, you probably don't know I'm screwing your 11-year-old daughter and your wife and my wife, but I'm really not getting off enough. So what I'm going to need is for you to jack me off. and this old man, and I'm not going to say God rest his soul because he's a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Said that, so what I did is I relieved him in an act of masturbation.
That's correct.
Hey.
That's correct.
Along with one man relieving another man in the act of masturbation, do what you please.
Yep.
Boy on the left married. Homeboy on the right married.
Yep.
Homeboy on the right having his daughter scrogged by homeboy on the left. Meanwhile, homeboy on the left also scrogging homeboy on the right's wife.
Yep.
Jimmy, when I heard this, I said, man, the predator in this situation is legitimately one of the dumbest people I've ever heard of in my life. And the fact that he was able to find 3 to 4 other people that much dumber than him?
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame the daughter because she was only 12 and he was 40 and, impressionable young girl, and she trusted him. I don't blame her. Plus, she was drugged up too, so I don't blame her. But those parents, man, and in this documentary, if you haven't seen it, in this documentary, they interviewed the FBI agent that was involved in the whole thing when they were looking for him when he kidnapped her and everything. And the FBI agent tried to be respectful. So he didn't want to say straight up, these people were fucking plugs. What he said was, well, I mean, this was the 70s. It was a different time. And they were trying to explain it away like, you didn't lock your door at night. They were trusting people.
15 years ago was even a different time. Look at how far we've come digitally and socially and all that stuff. But my God, this situation, I don't care what century it's in.
No, I don't care if it's 1942. If somebody says, hey, my therapist says I got to sleep in bed with your 11-year-old daughter 3 days a week, I'd say, get the fuck out now. I'm going to slash your throat.
There are some.
I don't care if it's 42 or if it's 70. That's psychotic, man.
There are situations where sometimes children, younger people, just don't have their family around, and maybe they mature faster or slower depending on that because of who does surround them. That happens all the time.
Right.
But this was a case of the parents being around way too much.
Yeah, and
they were out there giving hee-haws to the predator. Are we even to the fire yet?
No, the fire came later. We're not done yet.
I think everybody came later.
Yeah.
Sooner and later.
So let's go back. So after he was caught in Mexico, and obviously they had more than enough to put him away, the Brobergs would not press charges because they put themselves ahead of their daughter. They were too worried about, oh my God, he's going to reveal that I gave him a hand job in the car and I have a business and they're going to tarnish my name publicly. They put their own best interests ahead of their daughter, so the guy skipped jail, basically, did not get any jail time. Then Jan got kidnapped again.
Shocker.
She still loved Buddy, Mr. Birchtold. She left a note, and he was waiting for her outside. She took off again. This time, and they lived in Idaho, keep in mind, he enrolled her in a Catholic school in California under a different name. She was gone for 6 months, I believe it was. While she was gone, this was the really fucked up part. While she was gone, Birchtold would call the parents, like on a regular basis, because he pretended like he didn't know where she was either, right? He pretended like she was missing. He told the parents, oh, I hear she's in prostitution, and I hear she has a drug problem. He would call them, and you would hear, because the police tapped the phones, you would hear Mr. and Mrs. Broberg, oh, hi, B. Hi, B. Oh, I haven't heard from Jan. No. They were being chill with the guy when he had already kidnapped her, raped her, took her to Mexico. They assumed that he had something to do with it again this time, and they were still so nonchalant with him on the phone when he called them.
By the way, at some point throughout this situation, the predator, as I like to refer to him as homeboy on the left, goes to the business of the father, homeboy on the right. I don't know if this is... Maybe he wasn't getting beaten off enough, and burned his business down.
I think he hired somebody to do it. He hired people to do it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so he hired a couple people to burn the business down.
Yeah.
Can I just point out, too, that this, like, the parents being worried about their reputation being destroyed, her father was a florist.
That's right.
So, like, this is not testifying about your daughter being, like, horribly sexually abused by this guy.
Yes.
This guy was in service of protecting the father's proud reputation as the local florist.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. So she's found again. I can't recall how they found her, but they found her again, and she gets returned home again. Now she's getting old enough where now she's coming to her senses. Okay, this whole thing's bullshit, and the alien thing is bullshit, and he was raping me and all that kind of stuff. So then they get a stalker injunction put against him. And the way this thing ended up was he went against the stalking injunction. He was going to see jail time, so he committed suicide by overdosing on heart medication in Kahlua. That's what his brother said, that he overdosed on heart medication in Kahlua. But it was unbelievable that they... And none of that, I think the wife, Mrs. Broberg, had 2 separate incidents of having an affair with him.
I think that she's in love with him still.
Well, he's dead now, but maybe.
I think she still had something for him.
Maybe.
Really romanticizing that relationship.
Yeah, because they would ask her about it. She's like, oh, it made me feel alive, and it gave me an energy.
The second time it went on for like 6 months.
Like 8 months, I think, the second time. And so the first time was before Mexico, I believe. The second time was after Mexico. After he raped and married and kidnapped her daughter, she had an 8-month affair with the dude.
This is the most fucked up
thing. Isn't this unbelievable?
Like I said, I've heard a lot of situations where people had to grow up fast. Their parents just were not around. This was not that. This was a poor girl who got brainwashed and taken advantage of. And I don't know how much better she was. I don't know what else was going to happen to her. This was the craziest thing that could have happened to her. And who knows considering how dumb her fucking parents were.
I was waiting for them to reveal at the end that her parents were brother and sister. Because that might have explained a lot.
Their explanation for the whole thing was like, oh, he was just so damn charismatic.
Yeah, they did. They just kept saying, we were family friends. He was nice. And they kept on saying about that. They were trying to explain like the time, you know. Oh, in the 70s, things were different, you know.
The girl never showed interest. The girl wasn't instigating all this. He instigated it all.
Yes.
I mean, the girl never was like, man, I sure have a crush on that guy, like some childhood crush or anything.
Yeah, no.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have made it okay. This man, I don't. These are the 3 dumbest fucking people I have ever met or ever heard of in my life.
I mean, I wouldn't even say Birchtold was dumb. He was pretty brilliant. He was a great manipulator.
No, he was still dumb.
He got everything he wanted.
He was a fucking moron for believing this would work.
It did for a long time.
I know.
Yeah.
Is that somehow the universe pulled these 3 people together. And he was like, man, I'm going to come up with the dumbest fucking idea ever. I'm going to molest this girl get her to marry me, tell her she's been abducted by aliens.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to get her dad to beat me off, her mom to bang
Well,
me.
the hand job happened before Mexico.
Doesn't
Happened
matter.
Before Mexico,
Let's
yeah,
get it all
yeah.
together. I'm going to tie in.
It did. It
And a
did.
Catholic school in California and all this. And it'll work. It'll work, man.
I
And
would have liked to have been there. Like, I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall when he went to the Brobergs' house and explained to them that his therapist recommended that he sleep in her bed 3 to 4 nights a week. I would have liked to have been there to see how he sold them on it, to see how willing. Oh, you 40-year-old B, you want to go sleep in our bed with 11-year-old? Oh, help yourself. Help yourself.
Yeah, just pick of what bed to sleep in that house by the sounds of it, right?
There's nothing but beds. What I love too was the part where his brother was talking about how he was an excellent car salesman.
Yes.
And I was like, well, of course. So like a car is nothing.
Right. They'd fly off the lot in comparison.
Literally, aliens are bringing these cars down.
Yeah.
It was
What a sweetheart. What a sweetheart. I might have to watch it again just for the entertainment value.
You know who the happiest person is that this documentary came out?
You.
Well, besides me. No, because I hate it. I hate that happened to that girl. That's fucked up. And she will never get her childhood back. The guy, the water blowjob guy from Fire Festival is thinking, oh, thank God. Thank God something crazy
Yeah, but that
happened.
guy's actually the babyface in that documentary.
Yeah, of course. But
He's not the
still,
heel at all.
he rolled with the punches initially, but then he was like, hey, guys, I kind of don't want that to be just my thing.
No, but, well, okay, but I think he's come out of it looking pretty good. I mean, obviously he's going to be known for it, but.
I mean, this takes the heat off of him pretty well. And actually, I saw memes of them side by side, and it says, when you would do anything for a friend.
Right.
Well, that's
Yeah.
a plain sight. I'm glad we could review it.
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys
It's unbelievable.
think. If you haven't
Unbelievable.
watched it, watch it. You will become livid. Livid.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.